All right, let's get started. Welcome to Unlock the Power of Protective Factors with the Social Development Strategy, and our presenter is Chris Reed. This presentation was prepared for the Great Lakes PTTC under a cooperative agreement from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA. The opinions expressed in this webinar are the views of the speakers and do not reflect the official position of the Department of Health and Human Services. Got a few housekeeping items to share with you. If you have technical issues, please individually message me, Rebecca Buller, in the chat section. If you have questions as we go along today, please post those in the Q&A section, not in the chat. The chat's going to go by very quickly, and we don't want to lose an important question. So please use that Q&A option at the bottom of your screen. If captions would be helpful, use your Zoom toolbar near the bottom of your screen and choose Live Transcript. AI note takers are not allowed in our trainings, and you will be removed from the webinar room. And certificates of attendance will be sent via email to those who attend the session in full. And now I'm going to turn things over to Chris Reed, who is the co-director of the Great Lakes Prevention Technology Transfer Center.
Thanks so much for getting us started, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. Great to be here with you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slides. All right. Looking forward to this session with you all. What we have in store for today is what's on the screen here. We're going to first do a little bit of introductory work around protective factors. Then we're going to move into what is the social development strategy and really unpack that by taking a deep dive into every element of the social development strategy and how putting the social development strategy into action will actually build those protective factors, which are so important. And then we'll talk about how you can take this information back to your community and put the social development strategy into action. All right, hopefully everybody has already downloaded the participant workbook. You were sent an email by Rebecca yesterday if you had registered by then. If you haven't yet done that, Rebecca just put in the chat the link to where you can download the workbook. So if that would be helpful for you to have in front of you as we go along, please know that's there. You can also download the slides that I will be sharing today from that website. I would love to see a reaction button of who's been able to download or has the workbook available. If you can click on some kind of reaction button, a thumbs up or smiley face or something. Great, I'm seeing a bunch. Yay, okay, good. Thank you for letting me know. That's helpful. If you're having any trouble, do feel free to contact Rebecca via the chat and ask for some help downloading it. All right, so let's just make sure we are on the same page before we get too far along. If you've been in any of my trainings, or especially the Prevention 101 training that we did last time, I always like to start here with what do I mean when I say the word prevention during this training. I'm talking about primary prevention in this training. So let's think about what primary prevention means in other aspects of our lives. If you think about the computer that you're on or the device that you're on right now, you are very likely to have antivirus software on there. Antivirus software is preventing viruses from getting into your computer. It does not take care of the viruses if you get one. It's to help prevent it. So primary prevention. Lighthouses are primary prevention in terms of preventing shipwrecks. It doesn't take care of ships after they've wrecked. It's preventing it from happening. Sunscreen prevents sunburn, and immunizations prevent different illnesses. So all of these are examples of primary prevention in other parts of our lives. With substance misuse prevention, our goal in terms of being primary prevention is we want to put things in place. We want to take action before there's a problem. So many of you might be familiar with the public health parable about going upstream of trying to find out what's going on if people are falling into the river and there's problems with drownings and things like that. It's like, let's go upstream to figure out why people are falling in the river in the first place. And that's what we're doing with substance misuse prevention. The way we can go upstream is by doing these two things. We can do it by reducing risk factors that we know increase the likelihood of substance misuse, and also increasing protective factors that buffer the impacts of risk factors. So by doing both of these things, reducing known evidence-based, research-based risk factors and increasing protective factors in an evidence-based way, we can move upstream and actually do that primary prevention. So by doing this, of course, we save time, money, energy, lives, all those kinds of things by going upstream. So it's so important that we know how to do that well. All right, I have a short video for you all on what protective factors are. So I'll go ahead and play that for you.
Tortoise wins, an upset for the ages.
Oh, and we got it.
So I would ask the board, what if
A number of different factors, some biological or psychological, others social or environmental, give youth greater protection from or increased risk of substance use. Effective substance use prevention focuses on strengthening protective factors and reducing risk factors. Protective factors are the characteristics of individuals, families, or communities that support resilience, help youth more effectively manage stressful events, and strengthen other characteristics that minimize the risk of substance use. They can include things like participation in structured after-school activities, supportive family relationships, and positive self-esteem. Every youth is different, and the protective factors present in their lives can influence what messages are most effective in preventing substance use. Dig deeper into protective and risk factors for youth substance use prevention.
All right. So I like that video because it's a nice, succinct way of describing what protective factors are. And in a nutshell, from that video, we know that protective factors create conditions for healthy youth development and well-being, and they buffer the effects of exposure to risk factors. So when we're talking about buffering the effects to exposure to risk factors, in my mind, what I think of is like bubble wrapping our kids. Surrounding them with a bunch of bubble wrap, the protective factors. So as the risk factors are coming in, they don't have the impact that they otherwise would without that protective layer, that bubble wrap layer. So if that helps you at all, that's what's in my mind when I think of protective factors, is that bubble wrap around our youth. Wanted to make one point before we get too much farther, is that protective factors are not simply the opposite or absence of risk factors. I actually often see things come across my desk, come across my computer, where there'll be a list of risk factors, and then somebody will create a list of protective factors that are just like the opposite of whatever the risk factor is. So the risk factor of availability of drugs as a risk factor, then they'll be on the other side, lack of availability of drugs. Those are not the same. So just the absence of it or the opposite of it is not a protective factor. And you'll see what I mean by that as we go along, in terms of it's like a whole nother entity and a whole nother thing we need to be working on, not just looking at the opposite of risk factors. So some of you may have seen this photo before. I'm curious, put in the chat, what do you see in this picture? Who do you see in this picture? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Who do you see? A woman in a coat, a fancy lady, beautiful woman. All right, a woman turning her head, a young woman, an old woman, a woman, some people see both. All right, so some people are seeing both. Some are seeing an older woman or a younger woman. So let's make sure everybody can see both of these in this picture. So here's the younger woman. The younger woman is turning and kind of looking down. And so this is her little nose right here and her long eyelashes. And this is her hair. Her ear is right here. And this is a feather coming out of her cap. I'd love to see a thumbs up who can see if the young woman. Thumbs up or a smiley face or heart or something, a reaction. Okay, seeing quite a few. So reaction button at the bottom of your screen. Thank you, everybody. And I see some thumbs up in the chat. Anybody who's having any difficulty still finding it, which is okay. It can be hard to figure out if you've seen the other one, trying to switch your mind. Anybody having any difficulty? Feel free to put it in the chat. Maria, is no meaning you don't have difficulty or you can't see her? I'll go ahead and say one more time if for anybody having trouble. So this is like the profile of a young woman, and she's turned looking down that way. And then this is her little kind of button nose that you can barely see, and these are just eyelashes coming out. And this is her ear. Oh, you can see her. Great. Okay, so hopefully everybody's good with the young woman. Let's switch to the older woman. So the older woman is looking down like this. She has a very prominent chin right here, and those are her lips. And this is her nose. She also has a prominent nose, and that is her eye. Go ahead and do a thumbs up reaction or heart or something if you can see the older woman. Okay, seeing lots of those. Anybody having any difficulty seeing that? Seeing lots of thumbs up, celebration, hearts. Great. All right, so it sounds like everybody's good with both of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the main picture. So the reason why I bring this up or why we're looking at this picture is it's very similar with risk and protective factors. When we look at the picture of substance misuse prevention within our community, we want to look at both risk factors and protective factors in order to see the whole picture. If we look only at risk factors or only at protective factors, we are literally missing half the picture and half of the work that we could be doing to have an even greater impact. So while I'll be talking about just protective factors today, please know that the other half of the equation, the other half of the picture is risk factors, which we'll be discussing on December 2nd, if you want to join me then. So we'll be talking about half of the picture today. All right, so as just what I was saying, so we want to implement strategies that both enhance protective factors and reduce priority risk factors in order to have maximum effectiveness. All right, I've got some pop quizzes for you today. No surprise for some of you who are familiar with my trainings. So we're gonna go ahead, Rebecca's gonna pull up on the screen, already done, our first pop quiz for today. Protective factors can be defined as the absence or opposite of risk factors, true or false? All right, give about 10 more seconds. All right, let's go ahead and share the results. All right, and the answer to this is false. They are not the absence or opposite of risk factors. They are a different entity in and of themselves. So we want to make sure if you're seeing a list of risk factors where somebody lists the protective factors as simply the absence or opposite of risk factors, don't trust that list. I can look for another research-based, evidence-based list. All right, thank you for participating in the first pop quiz. All right, so the question is then, if we are wanting to build protective factors within our community, how do we do that? We do that by using the social development strategy. Is one way you can do it. My favorite way to do it, and I'll explain why as we go along. I do have a short video on the social development strategy to lead us into that, so I'll go ahead and play that for you.
The Social Development Strategy, or SDS, is an evidence-based framework for ensuring that youth feel connected to and bonded with their community. Research has shown that when we do this, we will see better outcomes and fewer problems for our youth. So, what does this look like? The Social Development Strategy is an easy-to-use strategy that works. There are 5 key components. 1. provide opportunities for youth. 2, teach young people skills for success. 3, provide praise and recognition. 4, bond with youth. 5, establish clear and healthy standards. When a young person becomes bonded, it motivates them to achieve healthy standards and promote positive attachments. Communities that use the social development strategy have reported positive outcomes for youth. Specifically, when compared to communities without the social development strategy, these communities saw a greater percentage of youth who graduated high school on time, better economic outcomes for youths later in life, better mental health of youth in the transition to adulthood, and fewer teen pregnancies. Are you wondering how you can bring the social development strategy to your community?
All right. What do you think? Any questions from that video so far in terms of the overall idea of the social development strategy? I want to pause for any questions before I go too far. Realize I'm charging along here. I know there's none in the Q&A yet. It doesn't look like. Is that right, Rebecca? It's actually not pulling up
Yes,
for me at
that's
the moment.
correct.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, well, as Rebecca said, feel free to put those questions in the Q&A as we go along. All right, so let's dive in. Development strategy. So the social development strategy is the key to how we put protective factors into action, how we can operationalize those protective factors. So that is the function of it. It's not like a list of protective factors. It's a way to operationalize or build, create those protective factors. This is what it looks like. Now, there are other ways that this has been laid out, and I'd say prettier ways in terms of more artistic ways. However, I find that looking at it in this way is much easier to train and to really understand how the different components build on one another. So if you don't mind, I'm going to use a less pretty version of it, but this is what we will walk through each one of these boxes as we go along. All right, few more background things about the social development strategy. If you are curious about how it was developed by Drs. Hawkins and Catalano out of the University of Washington Social Development Research Group. And they, along with some of their other colleagues, pulled from 3 developmental theories that I have here on the screen: the social control theory, Bandura's social learning theory, and differential association theory. So if you're curious and you're a public health and psychology background like I am, I find this very interesting to know how this came about. So that's where they pulled from to develop this, the social development strategy. You might be wondering about the evidence base of this. So it's like, well, they created it pulling from theories, from developmental theories, but has it actually been tested? Yes, it has. They did quite a bit of research on, Hawkins Catalano did, and his group did a lot of research on the social development strategy. And they showed through their research that it has been effective across developmental stages, meaning from early childhood up through its youth-based research, I should say, so up through high school. They've shown that the social development strategy is effective with across genders, race, ethnicity, and income levels as well. And also in the research, they found that it was effective not only preventing substance misuse, but other problem behaviors such as childhood behavior problems, youth violence, alcohol use, substance misuse, etc. So it's not only used in the substance misuse prevention field, but it is used in other fields as well. Some of you who have worked in the field for a while may be familiar with other protective factor frameworks, such as developmental assets, the resiliency model, positive youth development, positive childhood experiences, etc. There's lots of different ways to look at protective factors. And there are many lists of protective factors out there. But what's interesting is if you look back behind, like the developmental assets, positive youth development model, resiliency framework, positive childhood experiences, and you look at the theoretical base from which I'd say most of the frameworks that pulled from, they're pulling from the same base framework, knowledge, research, etc., which I found fascinating. Once I delved into that, I was like, wait, they're all pulling from same kind of things. So they interpreted that research, interpreted those theories in different ways to create the different frameworks. What is and I shouldn't say that all have pulled from evidence-based or evidence-informed research. So if you're using a protective factor list or a different protective factor framework, I highly recommend that you look at what the evidence base is behind that framework. So that's, again, one of the reasons why I like the social development strategy is because it pulls from and has had research done on using it and implementing it. Does it actually create protective factors? With the, I'm going to go ahead. I see there's a couple of questions that come up. I want to make sure there's nothing that before I move on. Yes, and Michelle, it has been evaluated in different geographical kind of areas in terms of rural, urban, etc. Yes, it has. Thanks for asking about that. And references on evidence-based research on SDS, especially any research related to Native Americans. Sharon, I can work on that in the follow-up email that I can pull in. And also, if you look at the end of the very last slides, if you have the slide deck, I do have references in there that you can look at some of the research. So hopefully that's helpful. All right. So why do I love the social development strategy? And I'm hoping you will also by the end of this session. Is first of all, it boils down the essentials, the essential elements of building protective factors. So it's like taking all of this kind of the noise and all the different things going on, and what is the most critical things when we're looking at building protective factors. It's very straightforward to implement. So it's not, trying to remember like a list of risk or protective factors is you don't have to remember this whole different list. You just have to understand the social development strategy and how it builds from bottom to top, which we will be talking about. You can use it across all contexts. So you can use it within schools, within families, within individual settings, within youth group settings, within community settings, etc. It can be used in all the different contexts. And as I mentioned before, there's multiple well-done research studies that have shown the effectiveness of using the social development strategy. So hopefully I'll convince you all by the end of this as well, that you will love it too. All right. So I think I just answered a couple of questions. I'm not seeing any more in the Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and let's jump into the social development strategy. So we're going to start with the impact of individual characteristics, which is the bottom part. That's the bottom section of the social development strategy. So what we mean by individual characteristics, so these are the things that are within ourselves, our personalities, our traits, etc., that impact our ability to take opportunities, learn new skills, and accept recognition. So there are things I said, here on the slide, like a resilient temperament. If you have a resilient temperament, then as you start to experience new opportunities or presented with new opportunities and you don't do so well, you fail in many ways, you have that ability to bounce back and just jump right back in there. Sociability often factors into how, again, it's going to move up into the next section of how many opportunities are presented to youth that are very sociable versus not. So you think of a group of kids and there's an opportunity that's presented for participation. Guess who's raising their hands and wanting to be involved? It's usually the ones that are more social, right? And they're usually the ones that get invited into those opportunities much more than those who might not be noticed as much, right? They might be quieter, wanting to not stand out, those kind of things. So that impacts the next part of the social development strategy. And the ability to learn quickly, it absolutely impacts the different things that as we go along with the social development strategy. The important thing here is that I don't mean that we're either born with it or not. These things can be learned. These things can be taught. These things can be nurtured within our youth. So as we're thinking about building those protective factors, what kind of individual characteristics might we need to nurture more to make sure that everything happens within the social development strategy? And I'm not sure how clear I'm being, but I'm hoping as we go along, it will all make sense, because I will pull in, I'm going to pull in this next section of why are these characteristics important? Because they are key, they impact the key ingredients of the social development strategy. So these are the most important things that happen here. Well, not most important. That was way overstated. Sorry about that. Key pieces, key ingredients are opportunity, skills, and recognition. So again, we have the individual characteristics at the bottom that are going to feed into these three essential ingredients: opportunities, skills, and recognition. So how we are as individuals is going to impact how we take our opportunities, how we learn new skills, and how we accept recognition. So let's look at those three areas separately as we go on. So we need all three. Often we will present in, in different opportunities that we give to youth. To children, we might give them an opportunity, but not necessarily skills. We might give them the opportunities and skills, but forget about the recognition. Or we might just give some recognition of you all are great, everybody did wonderful, but they really weren't given opportunities or skills. You get the picture. We need all three: opportunities, skills, and recognition. Come on, there we go. All right, so let's look at opportunities. The opportunities that we provide to our children and our youth in our prevention programs in all contexts, it's ideal that they are meaningful opportunities, not token opportunities like, oh, we'll just get them busy over here to get them to do something, but meaningful opportunities. They're developmentally appropriate in terms of there are things that they can do. Giving an opportunity to an elementary school student versus a high school student, those would be very different opportunities, most likely. You want to match to the individual the opportunity. So, give me the opportunity to do something as a kid that was, I don't know, just way out of my realm of like, why would I ever take that opportunity, versus something that's like, oh, wow, I'd be really interested in doing that. That makes a huge difference. So thinking about the variety of opportunities that we provide for our youth, so that it is matched to the individual preferences. And I say here a Goldilocks level of opportunity. So it's like a just right opportunity. It's not too difficult or big of a stretch of an opportunity. And so it's just like, it would fit just right for that person, for that individual. All right, when we think of skills, so we have opportunity, skills, and recognition. So we talked about opportunities. With skills, you want to provide skills that, I'm jumping ahead of myself. We want to provide opportunities with skill building, because without that, it creates frustration. And if we provide skills without opportunities, that's boredom, because you teach a skill, but don't give them any opportunity to use it. That definitely creates boredom. So we want to provide opportunities with skills, and we want to make sure that the skill building happens effectively so that they can take advantage of the meaningful, developmentally appropriate, just right opportunities. All right, so when we're thinking about skill building, so we provide these meaningful opportunities, we're providing them the skills to take advantage of those opportunities. We want to be realistic in our skill development. So in terms of if this is something that's really difficult to do, or it's going to take years to learn, but we want them to be able to take advantage of an opportunity right away, we need to be realistic about what can be done. And with all kinds of skill building, you want to break it into small steps. Ideally, you would model those steps or have somebody to model them for them. provide opportunities for practice, and then of course build on success. So just basic skill building, strong skill building kinds of situations. All right, recognition. So we've provided meaningful Goldilocks level opportunities. We've given them strong skill development so they can take advantage of those opportunities. The third essential ingredient there is to provide consistent recognition for the opportunities they've taken and the skills they've learned. But it's important to keep in mind, really important, that they view the recognition as positive, not a punishment. Now, I think of my two boys. They're older now. They have 20 and 22-year-old boys, young men. And with my younger one, if he was given recognition where, like, in front of the whole school, he was recognized for something, that would have been absolutely the worst thing you could have done for him. And he would have done anything to avoid that kind of recognition. So it would have been the opposite, that if he knew he would get that recognition by taking advantage of an opportunity, taking some skills, he would have avoided that. So, well, me, his mom, I was like, as a kid, I was like, oh, I get to be recognized in front of the whole school, sign me up. So we need to make sure that how we recognize the youth that are involved and taking these opportunities, learning these new skills, that it's truly viewed as recognition. I say here in the middle box that it's most effective when it's specific to the skill they're learning. So again, it's just like anytime, we're recognizing somebody, even as adults, we want to be specific that, gosh, I saw you take this opportunity. I saw you worked hard to learn these new skills, getting real specific, and wow, and you achieved such and such. I'm so proud of you, or, it depends on your relationship, but what kind of wording you would have. But again, the more specific you can be, the better. And this last part here in terms of just a reminder, just stay focused on the positive, that if you're providing the recognition, it's not a time to point out deficits or things they did wrong. Just stay on the positive when you're doing that. All right, so let's see how we are doing in terms of thinking about opportunity, skills, and recognition, and how it would look in real life. So looking at this picture, looks like the younger girl, maybe grandpa, somebody, maybe a neighbor, somebody is showing her how to do something related to tools. I'm not exactly sure what they're doing, but what opportunity would be happening here? Go ahead and put in the chat of what opportunity is this gentleman providing to this this younger girl. So what's the opportunity? Opportunity is what? What's happening? What opportunity is being provided? Helping, learning something new. Yep. So hands-on experience, opportunity to learn a new skill, learning how to use tools. Yep. So it's an opportunity to work on these, look at these tools, learn how to use these new tools, fixing something. He's holding in his hand something. So how to fix something is the opportunity, right? Very good. You all are doing great in the chat here. All right, so what about the skill? So if it's an opportunity to fix something, and I see some people have already skipped ahead a little bit, but what kind of skill would she be learning in this situation? What skill would be being taught? How to use a wrench, Kate? Exactly, yep. And also there could be some side benefits like patience communications, but in this case, yep, learning how to use tools safely, etc. Yep, so that's the skill being taught, is how to use this wrench to fix this device, or probably more so, but that's the skill, is learning how to fix this. How, I like where are her shop glasses? You're absolutely right. I should have picked a different photo with proper safety equipment. I love it. So what about recognition? What kind of recognition could be happening in this situation? This is where we're going to have to infer from this picture what kind of recognition could be happening for her taking this opportunity and learning this new skill. What kind of recognition could happen? Final project being completed, but like what could happen that how could he recognize that she has taken the opportunity and learned the new skills? There we go. Carla, yeah, affirmation, you're doing a great job. Words of encouragement. There we go. High fives, absolutely. It could be a high five. Wow, you just did that. Yep. Letting her take the lead, reflecting back on what she did. Yep, some kind of celebration. Maybe going back to her parents or caregivers and saying, gosh, you won't believe what she did. And that was something with my younger son, since he didn't like the public recognition, I would just quietly like share with my mom. I would call my mom on the phone and, hey, guess what he did today. And then he liked that. He liked to hear from the side. I wouldn't be looking at him, but he would just hear that recognition being given. All right, well done. Let's do it in another situation. Okay, this situation. What opportunity is being given in this situation? So it looks like that maybe an after school something, or maybe even in school. What opportunity? Jessica, you're spot on. It looks like robotics. So the opportunity is to learn how to build a project, building robotics, STEM class, integrated learning. Those are the opportunities. Absolutely. Well done, many of you. All right. What about the skills? What skills would they be theoretically, that we would assume are being taught in this situation? Skills, teamwork. Yep. Collaborative work. What else? Electrical current. There we go. Yeah, I mean, thinking about the actual how robotics work, the critical thinking. You all are spot on here. All right, what kind of recognition do you think could happen in this situation? How could they be recognized for learning these new skills and taking these opportunities? Real specifically, there could be awards. Yep, like if they win a competition. Yep, because there might be a robotics competition. All right. So again, it could be real specific, and it could be small things. It's not the awards could be the bigger thing, but it could also be this mentor of some sort. I don't know if it's a teacher or volunteer of some sort. Could be, wow, I just saw you had that challenge that the robot wasn't working right, but you've used your problem solving skills and you made it work. Something, during the class time. Yep, Gwendolyn, that's what I was looking for, is that it can be happening continually. It's not just at the end of the project kind of thing. So great, you all are doing great. One more kind of situation. In this kind of a situation, opportunity, what's the opportunity here? What do you think? The opportunity is to be a part of a team. Yep. Play soccer. Yeah, the opportunity is to play soccer. Be part of a team. Absolutely. Yep. Well done. Yep. Playing a sport, physical exercise. Having fun. Yes, yes. All right. So that's the opportunity. What are the skills? What skills are going on with this? Or what could be going on if they're on a soccer team? What skills could be taught? Teamwork, problem solving. Yep. Learning together, working as a team. Yep. Hand, eye, foot coordination. So learning the skills of soccer. Absolutely. Well done. All right. Yep. All of these things. Yep. Absolutely. You all are spot on. I love it. Okay, last piece. So opportunity skills, we got to go with recognition. What kind of recognition could happen in this situation? There could be like the bigger things, winning the game, scholarships. What kind of recognition could also be happening? Kind of the day-to-day kind of things of being on a team. So yep, scoring a goal, those kind of things. High five with teammates, absolutely. Could be media recognition. Ice cream. I like the way that you think, Jen. There could be some ice cream. Like, you all work really hard today. We're going to have a practice where you all are going to give it everything, and the recognition for doing that could be ice cream, or like pizza party, slushies. Okay, you all are making me hungry. All right. Learning to win or lose, playing hard work pays off. Yep. So but thinking about that recognition again, thinking like what the coaches could be doing, as they're learning the new skills. So just as they're going along, if they're like learning a new technique, I don't know much about soccer, I'm going to reveal myself here, but like maybe a different way to kick the ball that, with a different part of their foot, and that they were using the wrong part and they should be using the correct part. Again, I'm not sure what it is, but again, the smaller pieces of the reinforcement that could be reinforcing that you saw they were learning a new skill. They took that opportunity and learned that new skill and were successful in doing it. All right, how are we feeling? You all feeling good about opportunity, skills, and recognition? Give me a thumbs up, heart, something. If you're like, still not sure, give me another one. Different, like thumbs down or something. What do you think? See mostly hearts and thumbs up, lots of thumbs up. All right. Great. All right. Looks like we are doing okay so far. So time for questions. Any questions that have come up around individual characteristics and how those feed into opportunity, skills, and recognition, and how to do all three of those? Anybody?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's nothing in the Q&A.
Great. Thank you. Anybody have anything they want to pop in there? I'll just give you a minute in case there is. All right, I'm not seeing anything. So I'm going to give you a short break, but before we do that, we have a poll that I'd like you all to complete that Rebecca's pulling up here. We have a new reporting requirement that we weren't able to capture with Zoom registrations because we didn't know about it till after we had it. So if you can put in here, what is your source of funding for your substance misuse prevention program? That would be great. Select all that apply. If you don't work in substance misuse prevention, just go ahead and put oh no, do we not have that in there as an option? Don't answer it if you are not in substance misuse prevention. Okay, don't worry about it. But if you are have any of the funding there, if you could go ahead and select that, that would be great. See, we've got about half the folks have done it so far. Why are we laughing? All right. Oh, I think we're just about good. So people, please finish up if you haven't selected it yet, and we will go ahead and move into our 3-minute break. So just a quick break, get up, stretch your legs, run to the restroom, grab a drink, and then we'll be back here in 3 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you were able to get up and stretch your legs at least a little bit. If you are back with me, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or some kind of fun reaction, something showing me you're here. I see some coming up, a bunch of you, love it. All right. Any fun creative emojis that you can throw in there? Anybody? I know there are times people put those in and I'm like, wait, how did you get that? And I need to figure out more how to get some fun reactions. All right. Looks like we have most folks back, so that is great. Let's, excuse me, go ahead, move into the next part of our social development strategy. All right. We are going to move into bonding, which in my mind, I consider this the heart of the social development strategy. So let's see where we're at. We've talked about individual characteristics and how those impact how we take opportunity, skills, and recognition. And then we talked about how to provide meaningful opportunities, provide the skills to take advantage of those opportunities, and then provide the recognition for having taken the opportunities and learned those new skills. And the reason why that's important is because with those three things all together, that's what creates bonding or attachment or commitment. You can say it in any of those ways. And that is what is the key part of this, and what makes it all work is to have that bonding, that commitment, that attachment. So let's explore that a little bit more. So with those three together, opportunity, skills, and recognition, that's what creates that bond. Can you think about in your mind that it could be something currently, like there's a current, like it could be a situation in your work that I know with my work, I'm provided lots of opportunities. I have the ability to gain new skills, and then I'm recognized from my wonderful supervisor who gives me lots of kudos and different things that I do. And boy, do I feel committed, attached, bonded to the group that I work with, a wonderful group of people that I work with. Thinking back to when you're a kid, was there any kind of situation where you were given opportunity, skills, and recognition? Or is there something that you're doing right now that you provide to others? Maybe you have a niece or a nephew. Maybe you have a neighbor kid. Maybe through your prevention program, you provide opportunity, skills, and recognition. I'd love for you to put in the chat any of these examples. Any examples where you have either experienced receiving opportunity, skills, and recognition, or you've provided it in any kind of situation. And I'll go ahead and give an example of when I was a kid. When I was 3 and 4 years old, I lived across from a neighbor who baked bread for her family. She never bought it store-bought, which her kids then loved store-bought bread, but I had store-bought bread, so I loved the home-baked bread. And she was wonderful that she would let me come over and bake bread with her. So she gave me the opportunity to bake bread. She gave me the skills. She showed me how to measure it out, pour it in, stir. We did the kneading. She showed me how to do all of that. And then she would let me make these little loaves of bread that I got to take home. So I got that recognition of having made these things. And also she was, of course, very reinforcing as we would go along. And while things were sitting and baking, we would sit and have some tea together. And so it was a wonderful way to experience that opportunity, skills, and recognition, reflecting back on it now. All right, giving some time for people to put some things in the chat. Working with people in recovery, love it. Providing opportunities, skills, and recognition, love it. Father taught you how to do house renovations, how to fix a car, love it. Mentoring the interns, yes, great example. Seeing students come back and their experiences in adult life, ooh, nice, Kelsey, love that. Do team appreciation every week, switching off a plushie. Ooh, I like that idea, Vivian. Love providing our Stick Your Neck Out for the Prevention Award at PAA. Great. Working and volunteering with youth groups. Reinforcing positive parenting skills for their children. There we go, family context, I love that. Administer multiple student-led prevention groups, so providing the opportunities for student-led. We're taught how to sew, crochet, build art, and working in recovery. All right, these are fantastic examples. Working with youth coalitions. Learn to cook quesadillas after school snacks for your siblings. I love it. Washing clothes and feeding siblings. Those, again, you provide the opportunity, but you need to give them the skills. You need to give youth the skills or kids the skills to do it. And if there's that recognition piece in there, that's creating those bonds. Nice. These are fantastic examples. Thank you, everybody. All right, so with thinking about these opportunity skills and recognition, creating the bonding, let's think about what kind of bonding could be happening in each of these situations. So we're going to go back to these a couple times. So who do you think this young girl might be getting bonded to in this situation? And it's not a trick question. Who do you think who's providing the opportunity skills and recognition in this situation? Who would she become bonded to? Go ahead and put in the chat. So it's this person in the picture, right? It might be a dad, grandpa, neighbor, whoever this person is in the picture, right? Because he's the one providing the opportunity skills and recognition. Well done. Yep. So that's who, in this situation, that's who the bonding would be with. What about in this situation? Who would these two youth be getting bonded to in this situation? Again, yep, this teacher, mentor, whoever she is in this situation, exactly. So that's the bonding that's happening there. And then what about in this situation? Who would these youth be getting bonded to? Who's providing the opportunity, skills, and recognition? So they'd be getting bonded, committed, attached to the team. And yes, the coach would be playing that role, or they might be coaches in terms of the coaches would be providing the opportunity, skills, and recognition. And yeah, in this situation, it's getting bonded to the team, but it would be the coaches that are kind of the key piece that we're going to talk about next in terms of if that bond is being created with the coaches. Well done. All right. Let's move on then. Another pop quiz. Ready? How does bonding and attachment occur? So look at those different options. How does bonding and attachment occur? All right, about 10 more seconds. We have almost 3/4 of you done. All right, let's go ahead and share the results. All right, and the correct answer is by providing individuals with meaningful opportunity, skills, and recognition. 81% of you got that. Well done. So quite a few of you said by spending quality time with individuals. That can, but not necessarily. So it's if we're wanting to work and really put things into action, how we do that, how we can operationalize this bonding is through providing opportunity, skills, and recognition. Great, well done, thank you. All right, so this leads us to what I consider the secret sauce of the social development strategy, and that is healthy beliefs and clear standards. All right, so let's go through this one more time. Individual characteristics are impacting how we take opportunity, skills, and recognition. Those three create the bonding, attachment, and commitment. And this has to be associated with, and what the other piece that has to be involved with this bonding, this attachment, commitment, are the healthy beliefs and clear standards. So let's explore this a little bit more. If we stop at bonding in terms of providing opportunity, skills, and recognition to create that bonding, but we don't convey healthy beliefs and clear standards, we miss our preventive impact. So I often see this happen, and a lot of people talk about, well, we just need to give our youth opportunities to participate in things. So in sports, in other youth events within the community, or to after school activities, those kinds of things. That's great to be able to provide those things, but if healthy beliefs and clear standards are not conveyed by those that they are bonded to, that's where we miss the preventive effect. So I'm going to go ahead and, there we go. And I want to give you examples of what I mean by healthy beliefs and clear standards. So if we are looking to prevent substance misuse, some of the healthy beliefs and clear standards that could be conveyed by those coaches, teachers, neighbors, family members, etc., are clear no-use statements that youth should not be using alcohol, tobacco, other drugs. They should not be misusing substances in any way because it's going to have a negative impact. So those kind of messages are the clear no-use messages, so that there's not any wonder by these youth of where these coaches stand on it, where their teachers stand on it, et cetera, whoever they are bonded to. So, and these are, like I said at the bottom here, these are clearly communicated belief that substance use is harmful to youth. So an example, and I think looking here at I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide of some couple of slides, then I'm going to get into a story here in just a moment. So with healthy beliefs and clear standards, I say here they must be conveyed overtly, not assumed. So it can't be that a coach, a teacher, a preventionist, whoever it might be, who has gotten these youth bonded or committed attached to them, they can't just assume that the kids know that, well, this is what you think about youth using. Maybe, can't make those assumptions. It has to be overtly conveyed to them. So with things like sports, this can be a very, very clearly conveyed that if you are going to be part of a team, you will not be using alcohol. You will not be using tobacco or vaping. You will not be using other drugs in any way. And that can, if it's a condition of their participation, then that is when it's the preventive effect. So I'm going to give you an example of the story. And the picture on the right is actually my son, who this was a few years ago when he was in high school, part of the tennis team. Tennis was his end all be all. He absolutely loved it, still loves it, still plays. But there was a Friday evening and he was going to be heading out with some friends to do something. And so I, being the good parent at the moment, was, where are you going? Who are you going to be with? What are you going to do? All those questions, and going on and on. And finally, he turns to me. He says, "Mom, I'm not going to go use alcohol or do anything else dumb. If I did that, then I would be kicked off the tennis team. So I would never do that." And I was like, oh, and in my mind, I was like, protective factors, social development strategy. I didn't say that out loud, I promise. But it was like, thank goodness to that coach, who was an amazing coach, that he had clearly conveyed to them that if they wanted to be a part of this team, that they had to be responsible in many different ways. And he had, other things that they had, show responsibility in the school and all the different things so the substance misuse, not being involved with that, was one component of it. But that was beautiful, because even though, as a parent, I can say so much, I can, it's still what I can. I share my no use, in terms of what that, since they were little, that it was, we have history on both sides of our family and all that. So don't do it, kind of thing. But to have a coach back that up, that created a whole, remember we talked about bubble wrap? That created a whole nother layer of bubble wrap around my son. And I give a lot of credit to his coach for doing that. So that's an example of he was bonded, committed, attached to that team, and the healthy beliefs and clear standards were conveyed. So that's how that preventive effect happened. I hope I'm not harping on this too much, but I think there's often a misunderstanding of what this component of the social development strategy means. So I'm wondering if you can either say in the chat that you've got it, you feel like it's clear, or if there are any questions, or give me an emoji of how we're doing with this part of the social development strategy. Got some hearts, thumbs up, claps, love it. Good, clear, you get it in the chat, very clear. Okay, great. It's about bonding over having a similar experience. Oh, that might have been, oh, it's about bonding over having a similar experience. Yes, so you are bonding together, yes. Yep, and you're wanting to keep going with that group. You want to stay part of that group because you're bonded and you're committed, attached to it. All right, great. Looks like we're doing well. Thank you, everybody, for giving me that feedback. It's always challenging when I'm just sitting and looking at a screen at myself versus everybody else. So it's helpful to get your feedback. Thank you. All right. So let's look at this, go back to this. In these situations, how could healthy beliefs and clear standards be conveyed, and what might be conveyed? Thinking developmentally appropriately again. So we have some different age groups that I have here on purpose in these pictures. What kind of healthy beliefs and clear standards could be conveyed in these conversations that he might be having with her as they're fixing things and learning these new skills? Any ideas? And again, if this was for a substance misuse prevention kind of message. So what substance misuse prevention, healthy belief, or clear standards? I apologize, I didn't make that specific before I asked for that. Am I stumping you all? Oh, here comes some. Yeah, so really looking at, safety, communication, being careful while using tools, definitely the hard work, in terms of coping skills kind of things. But in terms of the substance misuse prevention piece, I think more that we take care of our body, safety kind of things would probably fall into more the developmentally appropriate piece of laying that foundational work for substance misuse prevention. And another piece with this is that he isn't saying some things. So he's not drinking a beer on the side as they're doing this. So no alcohol. That he's not going to be impacted in any way for safety. He's not saying things like, "Oh gosh, I really need to wind down and have a glass of beer now. This has tired me out." Or so those kind of things, you can be actually doing the opposite in these cases. So wanting to make sure to not be conveying unhealthy beliefs at this time. All right. What about this picture? What kind of healthy beliefs or clear standards around substance misuse could be conveyed in this situation? Yes, in Salvador, he can model the correct behavior, but we want to be overt too, as much as we can, so we don't leave anything, that we just assume kids are picking up on something. All right. So healthy coping skills and spending time with people who have a positive impact. So again, what messages, what healthy beliefs or clear standards could be conveyed around substance misuse? Yep, so there we go, Kelly, but no use in some way if there are different standards around who, participation in the team, that they are, they're treating their bodies well and keeping healthy so that they have the stamina to be able to do this. Or I'm not even quite sure exactly what could be done, but it's, thinking about what healthy beliefs around keeping your body healthy and substance misuse free in some way, those kind of things. So that participation in that group, that's the messages they're getting. Karen, I like this. The professional jobs require us to be drug-free, brains not being impaired. I love that. I hadn't thought about that. So thinking like planting those seeds for if you're wanting to do this in the future. Love it. I love it. Ooh, and Vivian can be connected to wiring in the brain. Yes, and several other people said with the brain. You all are fantastic. I love these ideas. Great. All right. You have the hang of it. All right. So with this last situation, so it looks more like high schoolers. In this situation, what kind of healthy beliefs and clear standards around substance misuse could be conveyed to these teammates, to team members? All right. So specific substance misuse prevention kind of messages. Good health and connections between mind and body. Yep. Staying away from substances, create a healthy body to be able to play. Yes. Teams depending on you, staying drug-free and healthy with teamwork. You all are spot on. Great. Yep. So direct impact on physicality that drugs and alcohol have. Absolutely. Love it. And you don't want to impair your performance. Yes, absolutely. Well done. I think you all are just right on the spot. Thank you. So, what if healthy beliefs and clear standards are not conveyed? So we've created this bonding, this commitment, this attachment. So again, this is when we can miss that preventive effect, that the preventive effect doesn't happen in this situation. The opposite can actually happen as well. Because you think about, at least reflecting on some of the sports teams that were not the tennis team when my son was in high school, there were some very unhealthy beliefs and clearly stated to some of the other teams. So some of the teams, they were known to every Friday night go out and drink heavy and hard. And that was the norm for that group. So being a part of that team meant that if you were wanting to stay with them and be a part of them, they were going out and doing unhealthy things. So this is where when people say, well, we just need to get kids to join a sports team. Well, yes, and we need, if we want them to join up and do these things, they need to have very healthy norms within that whoever they're getting bonded to, and not the unhealthy norms that could do the opposite of what we're trying to do. All right. Okay. Yeah, negative self-talk could be reinforced. Yeah, holding each other accountable, looking at the chat here. Yep. All right. So one last time. We're almost to the top. We're doing the last top. Individual characteristics, feed into opportunity, skills, and recognition that create the bonding. And the bonding, with the bonding, there have to be healthy beliefs and clear standards shared overtly. If it's for substance misuse prevention, it needs to be substance misuse prevention kinds of messages that are relayed. And if we do all that, we get to the top. We get to the healthy behaviors. That's that top part. So with healthy behaviors, that is if you have successfully implemented all of the social development strategy, that is the outcome. All right. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A, but does anybody have anything before we move into our last pop quiz? Any questions? All right. Not seeing anything right now. So, you ready for your last pop quiz? Here it is. Components of the social development strategy include. Which one includes components of the social development strategy? What do you think? All right, we have about half the folks done. Wait, a little bit more. All right, about 10 more seconds. All right, yeah, and feel free to answer in the chat. I'd love that if you can't get the poll for some reason. All right, we have about 3/4 of you done, so let's go ahead and stop and we'll share the results. The correct answer is, well done. 74% of you got individual characteristics, opportunity, skills, recognition, bonding, healthy beliefs, and clear standards. Yes, those are all components of the social development strategy. Well done. All right.
Chris, do you see that there's a new question?
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Where does the life experience like trauma or other experiences get taken into account? It gets taken into account on December 2nd. So I hope you will join me for the risk factors training. It's a great question. That is where we'll look at what are the risk factors, the negative experiences that happen within our life, such as trauma. We'll talk about it definitely in that. So hopefully you can join us then. I'll give you more information on the time and how to register in a little bit. So thank you for bringing that up. The other half of the picture, remember the young lady and the old lady? We need to have the whole picture. All right, so now that you know this information, you understand and have the social development strategies, the different components, what tools do we need to grow protective factors to put this information into action? Let's talk about that for a little bit. So just a reminder, we want to make sure that our prevention efforts both reduce risk factors and increase protective factors. And in this context of reducing risk factors and enhancing protective factors, we need to have comprehensive efforts within our communities. It's just doing one thing for one kid or for one group of kids is not going to have widespread impact on our community. But if we can partner with others within our community and really look at a comprehensive approach, that's when we're going to start having the impact. Something to think about is that in terms of the context of protective factors, sure, it's no surprise to you that more is better. So if we can be building protective factors in all the different contexts, so within our families, can we teach parents and caregivers how to build protective factors within their family? If we can do it within our schools, we can do it within our community, kind of community context, so the different things happening within our communities. If we do it within our individual youth groups, the smaller youth groups, if we can be building protective factors in all those different areas, and not necessarily traditional prevention programs. This would just be teaching people how to implement it so that it can be spread broadly across our community. That if we can be doing that in all those different contexts, we are going to be getting lots of layers of bubble wrap around our kids. So more is definitely better in this situation. One way that you can also access this tool, I should say, on the product page, the link that Rebecca gave you before, and she'll pop it into the chat again right now. One way you could assess how you're doing with your current prevention efforts or different efforts that you are working on in your community is you can use this assessment tool to figure out how well you're doing to have all of the different components of the social development strategy. So if you like, you can download this tool and go ahead and put your name of your strategy in and go through all the different questions and make sure you are doing all the different things within the social development strategy. So that's a tool that you are welcome to use if you like. One thing I would also encourage you to do to think about putting this into action is figure out ways that you might be able to institutionalize the social development strategy within your prevention program in terms of your organization, if you're working with a coalition, if you're working within a public health department, whatever context in which you're working in, how can you build the social development strategy into what you are doing? Maybe you offer mini grants in the community, or you work at the state level and you provide grants. How can you build the social development strategy into the work that's being done? So we're both increasing protective factors and decreasing the protective factors. You can do this it helps to institutionalize these things by doing three things. Oh, there was way too many THs or something there. With three things. We want to gain buy-in from the leaders. So that would be a first step. It may be formal leaders and or informal leaders that you would need to get the buy-in around this. Train folks, it could be your program staff, like I have here, coalition members, volunteers, whoever it might be, that you can get that traction of getting more people building those protective factors within your community. And you can apply the social development assessment tool regularly to help institutionalize the social development strategy. I forgot I had one more pop quiz. I said it was the last one last time. Well, fooled myself. And so I didn't mean to fool you all. So one more pop quiz. I promise this is the last one this time. True or false? It is essential that we primarily focus our prevention efforts on increasing protective factors so we don't get caught in the negativity of risk factors. So that poll is going to come up here shortly. I don't know, Rebecca, I can't see it. I don't know.
No, it's not your problem. It's mine. Something,
Oh.
it's not coming up when I hit it.
Oh, well, just everybody go ahead and put in the chat. True or false? What do you think? True or false? It's essential that we primarily focus on our prevention efforts, increasing protective factors so we don't get caught in the negativity. Mixture of responses. All right. So in this case, that's false. Because again, we want to do both. We want to increase our protective factors and decrease our risk factors. I often hear people say, well, we just need to focus on protective factors because we want to stay in the positive, those kinds of things. If we're only working on increasing protection, we are losing half of our ability to have the impact. If kids are surrounded with too many risk factors, even the protective factors that we've tried to build up, they're going to get through. I use the bubble wrap image because it's not impenetrable. Things people can poke things through. Things can come through. So we want to reduce as much as we can the risk factors that are in our use environment, while also at the same time increasing the protective factors. Now, in terms of the messages we're sending out to our communities, do we want to focus more on the positive? Yes, absolutely. But in terms of the work we're doing as preventionists, we want to be really thoughtful and making sure that we are both reducing risk factors and enhancing protective factors. All right. So with that, I would love for you to think about, are there any next steps you would like to take using this information we've talked about today? I'm going to present a few options for you, and then we also will have a commitment form that if you would like to commit to doing something within the next 24 hours, which I highly recommend if you're going to do something, do it soon. Otherwise, you know what happens. Our lives happen. So many different things happen. So if you're wanting to do something, take action soon. So next steps could be having a water cooler chat, either virtual or in person with a colleague, or it could be a friend, a neighbor, a family member for 15 minutes to share what you've learned in the webinar. You could examine the framework or list of protective factors that you use in your prevention efforts to see if they're research-based. Find out how was this list, framework or list of protective factors created? You could create a list of program staff, coalition members, volunteers, et cetera, who might be interested in getting trained, and schedule a date for the training. You could print out that SDS assessment tool and take one of your prevention strategies and just go through and see how you're doing on it. And last but not least, you could sign up for the risk factors training on December 2nd from 10 to 12 Central Time. So maybe you might do multiple ones of those. It would be great if you are willing to commit to those. So with Rebecca put in the chat, but if you can go ahead and complete this Google form, You can include your name and email address if you would like me to follow up with you in 24 hours to see how it's gone, or you can leave your name off and just have it be your own commitment. So go ahead and complete that Google form if you like. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. If anybody's having any problems getting to the commitment form, let me know. All right, and a few last things I wanted to share before we log off for today. Upcoming events, including the risk factors training that's going to happen on December 2nd. This is the second in our Foundations in Prevention, Substance Misuse Prevention series. We did a Prevention 101 training, a webinar last month. It's like, where are we at? We're in November. We did it in October. The recording's available for that if you're interested in watching that. Next, we'll do risk factors, then we'll do what does not work, then selecting evidence-based strategies, and then logic models. If you're interested in networking with other substance misuse prevention folks, we have these short sessions where we'll just do a quick intro and then we'll put you into breakout rooms with some possible discussion questions for you to get to know others. So I'd love to have you to join us for one, two, or all of those. Brian Klaus is going to do a training for us, Storytelling Strategies for Funding Success, the art of the conversational pitch. So if you're looking at needing to find other funding, I know this has been a challenging time for prevention and funding. So if this is something you would like to learn, we'd love for you to join us. We do have a maximum number that can get into that because it is a Zoom training. So if you want to be in there, I would register soon. And it is going to be interactive, so there will be breakout rooms, so you'll need to have a camera and microphone available. That will not be recorded, so you would need to be there live if you want that information. Brian is going to do 2 other trainings for us in December. He's going to do using generative AI in your substance misuse prevention work, and then leveraging AI chatbots for your data analysis and reporting. So if you're interested in either of those, love for you to join us. And something we just added today is Beyond the Generational Divide, leveraging workplace differences for prevention success. This is more focused for intermediate level preventionists, so about 3 years and above. This is going to also be a 2-hour training with Ricky Barton. And so this will be breakout room kind of situation. Again, it will not be recorded, so you would need to be there live for that event. I want to make sure you all are familiar with our prevention learning portal on our website. When you go to this section of our website, you can click on these different tiles and learn more about each of these topics. So you can click on risk and protective factors and get lots of more information about risk and protective factors. When you click on each of those portal pages, this is the layout of it. There's a what is it? So if you just want basic, I just need to know what it is, you can go there. You want to learn more about it, go to that section. If you're wanting to take action, you go to that section. So hopefully that is helpful to you all. If you haven't already and you are a social media kind of person, we'd love for you to like and follow us on LinkedIn and our Facebook. This is how we get information out to you every day. Every business day we post on there. So if you haven't already, we'd love for you to join us in that setting. And last but not least, as we close out this session, you'll be redirected to the GIPRA evaluation form. We greatly appreciate your thoughts and feedback about how this went. Please know, as I always say, that I read every single comment. It does not go into a black hole. So your feedback is greatly appreciated and used. So please, please take time to do that. And with that, Rebecca, anything to add before we close out?
No, I think we're good. No open questions and everything seems to be fine.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today. You were wonderful and participated actively, which makes my job so much easier because just talking to myself gets really boring. So at least to have the chat and interaction in that way is really helpful. And I do hope to see you at the Risk Factors training on December 2nd. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everyone.